in the Grand Hall of the United Nations, where the world's most pressing issues are debated and history is often written, a moment of unusual gravity unfolded. French President Emmanuel Macron delivered a speech that broke through the usual diplomatic routine, capturing the attention of delegates and observers alike with its urgency and candor. Macron called on Israel to end its cycle of permanent wars with its neighbors, warning that endless conflict only deepens insecurity and sorrow not just for Israel but for the entire region. He highlighted Israel's expanding military actions from Gaza to Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, Iran, and Qatar, arguing this approach risks igniting a regional catastrophe that could spiral far beyond current borders. Macron's message was clear: Israel's security cannot be achieved through force alone. True stability requires diplomatic engagement and a just resolution for Palestinians, rooted in mutual respect and international law. Departing from cautious diplomatic language, Macron demanded a complete shift in Israeli policy. Lasting peace, he insisted, depends on mutual security, trust, and a willingness to compromise. He positioned France as an active partner, urging Israel to choose dialogue over military dominance, and offering France's support in facilitating meaningful negotiations. Macron's address was a calculated intervention, reframing the conflict as a matter of Israel's long-term interests and the region's future, rather than just a series of immediate crises. He appealed to reason and strategic foresight, not just passion or short-term gains, urging leaders to look beyond the present and consider the legacy they will leave. The world listened, wondering if this bold call from Paris could finally mark a turning point in a seemingly endless conflict, and whether the City of Light's message would spark a new era of hope and reconciliation. Macron's speech was backed by France's historic recognition of the State of Palestine, a decision that marks a significant turning point in European diplomacy and the Middle East peace process. This move was carefully coordinated with key allies like the UK, Australia, and Canada, reflecting a growing international consensus that the status quo is no longer sustainable. This shift signals a new approach. Statehood is now seen as a precondition for peace, not just its outcome. The international community is increasingly recognizing that a viable Palestinian state is essential for lasting stability in the region. Macron urged other nations to follow France's lead, framing recognition as a vital step toward a viable political solution and a more balanced negotiation process. The goal is clear: empower the Palestinian Authority, strengthen its institutions, and give it the legitimacy needed to represent its people. At the same time, the move aims to isolate extremist groups like Hamas, reducing their influence and undermining their narrative. France's recognition is also meant to show Palestinians that diplomacy, not violence, can deliver sovereignty, dignity, and a future of hope. For Palestinians, France's recognition is a powerful affirmation of their right to self-determination and a seat at the table. It sends a message that their aspirations are being heard on the world stage. This move gives the Palestinian Authority a tangible diplomatic achievement, boosting its credibility and offering renewed hope for peaceful statehood and international support. By recognizing Palestine, France and its allies are leveling the playing field for future negotiations, shifting talks from if to how a two-state solution can be achieved. This fundamentally changes the power dynamics, challenging Israel's long-held advantages in bilateral talks and encouraging a more equitable dialogue. Macron's initiative is a bold gamble. By changing diplomatic realities, he hopes to open new possibilities for a just and lasting peace, and to inspire others to take meaningful action toward ending the conflict. Macron didn't stop at symbolism. He moved beyond grand gestures and diplomatic language to present a vision grounded in practical steps and real-world action. He outlined a concrete, step-by-step blueprint for peace, designed to address the immediate crisis and lay the foundation for lasting stability in the region. First, an immediate, comprehensive ceasefire and the unconditional release of all hostages to end the bloodshed and allow humanitarian aid into Gaza. This, Macron argued, is the essential first step to halt the suffering and create space for dialogue. Next, stabilize Gaza by establishing a functional governing body, restoring order, and beginning the long process of recovery. Rebuilding infrastructure and supporting local leadership are crucial to prevent chaos from returning. Macron called for heavy international investment and support to ensure Gaza's stability and prevent future conflict. He emphasized that the world must not turn away, but instead rally together to provide resources and expertise. The heart of his vision: mutual recognition between two sovereign states, a demilitarized Palestine that recognizes Israel, and vice versa. Only through this reciprocal acknowledgement, Macron believes, can true peace be achieved. This formula addresses both sides' existential fears: security for Israel, dignity and sovereignty for Palestinians. It's a delicate balance, but one that aims to meet the deepest needs of both peoples. Macron's plan revives the two-state solution, challenging both sides to look beyond grievances and embrace coexistence. He urges leaders and citizens alike to imagine a future where peace is possible, not just a distant dream. He insists that while the path is difficult, a clear, internationally supported blueprint for peace exists, one that requires commitment, compromise, and the courage to act. The challenge now is finding leaders with the vision and bravery to pursue it, and to inspire their people to believe in a shared future. A key pillar of Macron's plan is the complete demilitarization and disbandment of Hamas. He recognizes that Israel's security demands Hamas's military threat be neutralized, but also that Hamas is deeply rooted in Gaza's society. Macron links isolating Hamas to empowering the Palestinian Authority, offering Palestinians a future through peaceful statecraft. Demilitarization would require a robust international peacekeeping force, likely under a UN mandate, to oversee the process and prevent a security vacuum. Major Arab states and the global community would need to fund and staff this mission, turning vision into reality. Success depends on the Palestinian Authority proving itself credible and on Israel ensuring a truly sovereign Palestinian state. Demilitarization must be part of a larger package that offers real hope for a better future. Macron made a forceful case for upholding international law, urging all nations to respect the International Criminal Court and International Court of Justice. He rebuked the trend of powerful countries dismissing these courts when rulings are inconvenient, warning this erodes the post-war order built on law, not force. The ICC faces backlash for pursuing leaders from Russia and Israel. The ICJ's orders to Israel on Gaza have been largely ignored. Macron argued that undermining these institutions leads to a world where might makes right, leaving the vulnerable defenseless. For smaller nations and individuals, these courts are often the only hope for justice. Macron's defense of the ICC and ICJ is central to his peace plan. Lasting settlement requires accountability, not impunity. He insists that justice and the rule of law are essential for building trust and reconciliation. Without shared rules and impartial arbiters, peace cannot endure. In a dramatic moment, Macron addressed U.S. President Donald Trump directly, placing responsibility for ending the war squarely on Washington. Macron appealed to Trump's ambition, suggesting that true peace, and even a Nobel Prize, awaits if he acts decisively to end the conflict. He tied this challenge to a concrete goal: securing the release of the remaining hostages in Gaza. Macron's strategy was to turn Trump's desire for legacy into leverage for peace, offering a clear, measurable objective. This approach marked a shift in European diplomacy, engaging Trump's personal interests rather than just appealing to shared values. Whether this bold move will succeed remains to be seen, but it has electrified the diplomatic conversation. Macron's multilateral vision clashed sharply with President Trump's nationalist worldview at the UN. Trump dismissed the UN as ineffective, championing strong sovereign nations acting in their own interests as the key to global stability. He rejected Palestinian statehood, framing it as a reward for Hamas and a betrayal of Israel, aligning with his administration's hardline support for Israel. Yet Trump also cast himself as a peacemaker, touting the Abraham Accords and claiming credit for resolving conflicts. The U.S. approach prioritizes bilateral deals and disruptive action over consensus building, in stark contrast to Europe's methodical diplomacy. Trump's speech highlighted different global threats: migration and renewable energy, underscoring the deep ideological divide with traditional allies. The world now faces two competing visions: collective action and shared rules, or fortified borders and transactional deals. Macron's address sparked intense debate at the UN, with Secretary General Guterres highlighting the devastation in Gaza and reinforcing the urgency of a ceasefire. Arab and Muslim leaders met with Trump, seeking U.S. engagement but announcing no breakthroughs. Regional players are pushing for a unified stance, recognizing Washington's pivotal role in any resolution. Some, like Colombia's President Petro, called for direct intervention and a peacekeeping force, reflecting frustration with failed diplomacy. Outside, New York streets filled with demonstrators demanding an end to the war and real action from world leaders. The public's impatience for justice and peace added pressure to the already tense diplomatic landscape. The world is watching, demanding more than words from its leaders. As the UN session ends, the world faces a choice between Macron's multilateralism and Trump's assertive nationalism. Macron's path requires compromise, mutual recognition, and a commitment to a rules-based order, offering the hope of sustainable peace. Trump's approach favors rapid transactional deals, but risks undermining the legal frameworks that have kept global stability. The future of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict hinges on which philosophy the U.S. pursues. If Washington pushes for a ceasefire and a political process, a window for peace could open. If it continues unconditional support for Israel's military campaign, the conflict will likely escalate. The stakes are enormous. Continued violence could spark a wider regional war with devastating consequences. Macron's bold call has revived hope for a two-state solution. The coming months will reveal if this is a fleeting moment or the start of real change.